You came back as a person I needed, but too late. The funny thing is, I did not want revenge. I did not want you to suffer. I did not want you to feel my pain. I just wanted you to understand it. But you only understood after you caused it. And by then, something inside me had already died. When we first met, I would have done anything for you. Anything. That's the embarrassing part. I loved you with the kind of loyalty people write poems about. The kind that stays, the kind that forgives, the kind that believes every excuses. When you cancelled plans, I understood. When you disappeared for days, I understood. When you forgot things that mattered to me, I understood. I was always understanding. Until one day I realized you never had to understand me because I never made you like you knew I would stay. So you stopped being careful with my heart. And little by little, you hurt me. Not with a big betrayal, but with 1,000 small disappointments. The unanswered messages, the broken promises, the moment I needed you and you weren't there. The time I cried alone while defending you to everyone else. The worst part, you were not a bad person. You were just careless. And sometimes careless people break heart more deeply than cruel ones. I remember the night everything changed. I was sitting on my bed, phone in my hand, waiting for a reply that never came. And suddenly I felt stupid. I was not sad, not angry, just stupid. Because I realized I had spent months begging silently for things I gave freely. The attention, the efforts, love, care, things that should never have required begging. That night I cried, not because I was losing you, but because I was losing myself trying to keep up. And after that, something changed. I stopped chasing, stopped explaining, stopped asking, and stopped hoping. I became quiet. And that's the thing people don't tell you. The loudest heartbreak isn't crying, it's becoming silent. At first, you did not notice. Then you did. Suddenly, you were texting first, calling first, checking on me, asking if I was okay. Funny, isn't it? For months, I had been drawing, and you only noticed when I stopped waving for help. One night, you called me, and for the first time, I ignored it. Then another call, another, the same way I used to wait for your replies. You were waiting for mine. A week later, we met. You looked nervous. I have never seen you look nervous before. And then you said something I spent, I had spent month wishing to hear. I'm sorry. Three simple words. The words I used to cry myself to sleep hoping for. You apologized for everything, the distance, the neglect, the way you treated me, the things you did not notice, the things you ignored. You told me you finally understood, and I believed you. That's what hurt. I believed you. Because for the first time, you were being exactly who I needed. The problem was you arrived too late. I looked at you. I looked at you sitting there, apologizing, trying, fighting for us. And instead of feeling happy, I felt empty. I hated that feeling because this was what I wanted, wasn't it? This was the dream, the apology, the effort, the accountability, the change. So, why did not it feel good? Why wasn't I relieved? Why wasn't I running back into your arms? Then I realized something. People think heartbreak is one moment, but sometimes heart turns to stone slowly, quietly, after disappointed too many times. And by the time you came back, mine already had. I was not angry anymore. That that's what scared me. I was not angry, I was not heartbroken, I was not even emotional. I was just tired. Tired of carrying the weight of relationship alone. Tired of hoping, tired of waiting, tired of needing things from someone who only noticed when they were about to lose me. You kept saying we can fix this, and maybe we could have months ago, before all the tears, before all the lonely nights, before all the time I had to convince myself I mattered. But healing isn't a switch. You cannot neglect a heart from months and, and expect it to open in one conversation. You kept trying for weeks, and for the first time, I watched you fight for me the way I had fought for you. The irony was painful because now you understood, now you cared, now you were trying, and now I was gone. Not physically, not emotionally, but I was not there. The version of me that waited for every day, gone. The version of me I would forgive anything, gone. The version of me that believed love could fix everything, gone. You weren't talking to that girl anymore. You were talking to the woman your actions created, and she was not the same. The last time we spoke, you asked me one question. Why would you let me fix why won't you let me fix it? I remember looking at you for a long time, then I finally answered. Because I needed this version of you when I was breaking, not after. Not when I had already taught myself how to live without you. Not when the damage was done. When I was breaking, and for the first time you had no response. Years have passed since then, and sometimes I still think about it. Not because I miss you, but because I miss what we had, like what we could have been. Because the truth is, you did change. You became kinder, more attentive, more loving. You became everything I had begged for. But by then, I had already learned the hardest lesson of my life. But by then, I had already learned the hardest lesson of my life. Sometimes people come back, sometimes they apologize, sometimes they become better. But not every apology arrives before the damage is done. And some hearts don't break forever, they simply learn never to beat the same way again.